So much for the Christmas decoration, right? But 2020 is now behind us. Hi guys, it is day 28 on the Camino Frances, breaking it down with the help of Google Earth Pro. This is supplemental material to the vlog series that I shot in 2017, my first one, the one that changed it all. Today we're getting to Sarria, 25.5 kilometers, a short day, mostly downhill. And up ahead is the last 100 kilometers to Santiago de Compostela. If you want a Compostela, this is the minimum that you have to do in order to get one. But before we go into today's stage, let's go over the Camino de Santiago as a whole one more time, so that by the time you guys get there, you know it like the back of your hands. You don't have to ask anybody. You know where you are at all times. Also, if you download the GPS tracks, that might help a little bit. The Camino de Santiago, the Camino Frances, stretches about 800 kilometers from Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port all the way to Santiago de Compostela. The lucky ones go an extra 100 kilometers to the end of the world. As you make your way westbound across northern Spain, but not on the Camino del Norte, you're gonna go through different autonomous regions and provinces, and we start in Spain with Navarra, followed by La Rioja, and then we enter the massive Castilla y León. So massive indeed that we go through 3 different provinces, and those are Burgos, followed by Palencia, and then León. Right now we are in Galicia, and Galicia is divided into Lugo and A Coruña. So let's go into today's stage with the help of the elevation profile. We have 2 options as we leave Triacastela. We can either go left or right. If we do go right, it's 12.5 kilometers to Sarria. You're going to be mostly on the road. You have a huge climb at the beginning of today's stage. I haven't gone in that direction, but from what I read, going left is the way to go. It's a little bit longer. You're going to be doing about 6 kilometers extra at 19.73 kilometers. And you're going to go through the last monastery that you're going to see until you get to Santiago de Compostela, the Monasterio de Samos from the 6th century, one of the oldest ones in the Western world. In my opinion, today's stage is one of the prettiest on the entire Camino. If you're into nature, you're going to be walking next to a river, stream, going through a lot of small villages that are sort of abandoned, and forests. I mean, it's just in stark contrast to days past. The terrain is easy. It was just a very memorable experience, and you better enjoy it, because once you get to Sarria, it's gonna hit you, man. Especially if you started in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. From Sarria on, there's gonna be a massive amount of pilgrims that are gonna join you. Most pilgrims just do the last 100 kilometers, so expect to see a lot more people. But at the same time, you're going to get a lot more pilgrim support. In Sarria, there's so many albergues that you can choose from. I did not stay at the municipal one, but we're going to get to that in today's stage. I woke up today at 6:30 in the morning, and I was out of the albergue at 7 o'clock. And I saw a cat with a mouth in his mouth, and all I could think was how hungry I was. We had a breakfast at a bar in the center of town, and I had a café con leche, some orange juice, and some toast. We're 130 kilometers from Santiago, according to a sign outside in the bar. And up ahead, just before you leave the town, is where you get to the split in the road, where you have the sign to either go to Samos or just follow the original Camino. I decided to go left. That's what my guidebook recommended, and what my pilgrim friends also wanted to do. So that's where we headed. We're following the main road for a little bit on the shoulder. It was early in the morning, so not much traffic. You're following the river. You got the mountains on the side. You're going in between them. As I mentioned before, not a lot of elevation gain today. 8 o'clock in the morning, as I made my way past the rest area where I decided not to stop. You guys already know the running joke that I had throughout the trip. Before making it to the first village, the first abandoned village as it seems, and that was San Cristovo de Real. Plenty of houses that were abandoned and shuttered and closed. Did not see anybody out on the streets, but I did get to see a vending machine that wasn't working. They have a bar here, but it only opens in the high season or in the summer. You have Iglesia de San Cristovo de Real. You also have a stream here, very cool one. As we made our way over the small bridge, you have a lavadero on your left hand side. And here I just so happened to find a walking stick that I will get to use almost all the way to Fisterra. I remember the guy that owned it, so I guess he left it behind. I was on the lookout for him. If I would have found him, I would have given it back to him, but I never saw him again. Just as you leave the town at 8:26 in the morning, they have a very peculiar cemetery here with tombstones that I had never seen before. So it was a cool spot to stop and get a couple of shots. And as you follow the Camino, you get to walk by this brick wall, very cool one. I mean, it just added to the atmosphere of the place, the energy, the vibe. Just amazing this day. I don't know how to put it into words, but it was just one of the most memorable days on my Camino. Walk by a few haystacks or bundles and also Celtic signs. This whole region, Galicia, is very much influenced by Celtic culture from West Ireland. The next town or the next village, Renche, 8:44 in the morning. Walk past Iglesia de Renche. Walk next to the road for about a block before you detour away from it once again. You're going to be walking next to the road every now and then, crisscrossing it, but not too bad at all. This is one of the most scenic days on the entire Camino, as I have mentioned plenty of times. And from here, the next village was Lastres, and I got there at 8:50. I did the rock stacking, and as you can see, I was getting better. I was making it, almost towards the end of the trip. Saw an orreo in the village, and then I was back out into the woods. I was walking with Ramon and Fernando, and I will get to see all the pilgrims every now and then, but it was a very solitude day. I guess most pilgrims just go on the official Camino. Now, in the next village, I got there at 9 o'clock in the morning. I saw the tiles on the roof, and it was just so awesome. It kind of looked like a dragon's back. This is very typical of Galicia, the architecture, I guess. And it was a very memorable experience. I took a bunch of pictures over here, and I will get to see them more often as I got deeper and deeper into Galicia. And as I did it also on the Camino Portuguese and the Ingles. The trails were kind of muddy. I mean, if you remember when we were climbing to Ocebreiro, there was also mud there. So when it rains, you get mud. You cannot avoid it. Next village, San Martiño do Real with its own church. We get to climb just a little bit here, and then we go under the highway, 9:33 in the morning. Just one of those fortune cookies, as I used to call them, where you have inspirational quotes or graffiti, depending on your point of view. You leave that behind, and from this spot over here, I got there at 9:38 in the morning, is when you get to see your first views of the Monasterio de Samos. And what a great place to see it just before you go downhill to the town, where they have this bridge over here. I got to fly the drone getting the shots of the monastery from the 6th century monastery. There's an albergue here with 70 beds by donations. So yeah, I got to walk by the river. I was going around the monastery trying to get in, trying to get some shots. And I stopped really quickly across the street at this hostel just for a snack and a beer with my friends. Remember seeing a map there, like one of those that has the geography of the area, and I could also see that the toughest section was now behind me. Walk around the monastery, and right here we went in, and it was just closed, to the public on this day. So we just continue on walking. We're gonna walk next to the road for a stretch. Actually, on the guidebook that I took with me, which I was following, as you can see here, I was going to follow the main road all the way to Sarria, but we ended up taking a detour, and it was for the best. You have in this town a few pensiones, you have albergues, hotels, a post office, ATMs, bars, restaurants, so this could be a great place to either end your Camino or start your Camino. It's gonna change. Today you're gonna notice the difference. So we follow the main road. It was also 18 degrees Celsius, so it was warming up already. Remember, by the time I got to Fisterra, the summer was already in full blast. It was the end of May, so I don't know how pilgrims walk in the middle of the summer. I just remembering the heat wave that I had to walk through in France when I was doing the Via Francigena. I think I'd rather do it in the spring or in the fall. You have a pilgrim monument here with a water fountain, 10:46 in the morning. We're following the road as I mentioned. Following the road, following the river as well. And here they have a rest area and right next to the Orivio River, where I went in to get a couple of shots. I wanted to dip my feet in the water, but it was just the current was too strong. It was 11 in the morning already. And this is where the split happens. We just follow the yellow arrows as we were doing throughout the day. Did not know that in the original plan I was supposed to follow the main road. So we made a right turn here by this bar. This section here, in my opinion, was the prettiest section on the entire Camino Frances. In my opinion. I just love the atmosphere here. I remember seeing like one of those cabins in the woods next to the river. Just, you know, just beautiful all around. You have Iglesia de Santalla de Pascais in this corner. As you make your way through the forest here, this is where we stop for a little break right next to this church in Gorrolfe, where I saw some chickens. I was joking around that they were going to be lunch or dinner. It was almost noon, so I was starving already. I get to have lunch later on in today's stage. There's a small climb up ahead, but just a few hills. And then finally at 1:20 in the afternoon, I rejoined the Camino Frances, the official route in Aguiada. We came into this bar that was just full of pilgrims outside and inside, and we went in to have lunch. I had a beer and a ham and cheese with tomato pincho. We were here for a while, just taking a break. And we only have 5 kilometers to Sarria, to the city center. It's a massive city, like the second largest city in Galicia after Santiago, I believe. But from here on, we're following the main road on a dedicated footpath for pilgrims. This is where you notice the difference. I got to Sarria, or the sign, at 2:18 in the afternoon. And then finally made it to the city. You see Albergue signs pointing in every direction. So you have private accommodations, you got everything. Funny thing is that you have quite the climb, the stairs that you have to climb here. Just you make it to the city center. You walk past the Iglesia de Santa Mariña, which I will get back to later on in the afternoon. And as I was looking for the municipal albergue, I bumped into a few pilgrim friends and we decided to stay in the same albergue. So we had a whole room all to ourselves on the second floor. This albergue did not have a washer and a dryer, so I had to do my clothes by hand. I hang it out in the backyard, and then we all headed out to have dinner. We went to this Maison Camino Frances, where I had the Menú del Día, the pilgrim's menu, and I went for the red wine, the Galician stew, or the caldo gallego, and then fish with fries. And for the first time on the trip, I tried the torta de Santiago, which was delicious. Here they have just outside the Maison the 111 kilometer sign to Santiago. I bumped into Francisco. I went back to the church, to the Iglesia de Santa Mariña, hang around in there, getting shots of the altar piece, and also the Cruzeiro just outside. I also found out for the first time on the trip, 28 days in doing the Camino Frances, that the Cruzeiros is what used to be the yellow arrows back in the medieval times. From there, I went back here to this park where I saw a light from the 1800s. And then we follow the main Camino, or the main road, to the ruins of Torre dos Batallons from the 12th century, which is a shame that is completely abandoned and the land is for sale. It was 8:50 in the evening and the sun was still out. We climbed the tower. Francisco and Eileen, we were here getting shots. I flew my drone, got all my establishing shots of the town, and then just headed back to the albergue and called it a day. So that was the end of day 28 on the Camino Frances. Finally, the last stretch to Santiago, the last 100 kilometers from Sarria to Santiago de Compostela. And I'm going to be doing a couple of long days, 40-kilometer days, just to get there a day before my original plan, because Fernando and Ramon had a plane to catch. Guys, I hope you're enjoying the series. Don't forget to hit like, share it with your friends, and become a member if you can, and support all my future pilgrimage and expedition. 2021, I have a few plans. I'm flexible. I want to do the AT, which is the one that I'm getting ready for. That's over 2,000 miles from Georgia to Maine. If I do it, it will be from April all the way to September. And then if things line up, I might do the Shikoku Henro pilgrimage in Japan. So a full year packed with adventures. Guess I'll see you guys on the next video.